Hey, what's happening, guys and gals? This is Savion Hamilton coming back to you for another video talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, the movie that I saw yesterday. And this is a spoiler warning, so let me let you guys know. I will be talking about, it's not more, it's like a recap, talking about the movie and all that, telling you what I liked and all that. Warning, if you have not seen this movie, please get out of here because I don't want to spoil it for you. It's been like 2 months now. I've already seen it twice, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And I don't want to get attacked saying, "Oh, you spoiled it." So get out of here. You know, you should have already seen it, but if you still haven't seen it, get out of here. This is a spoiler warning, and I'm gonna wait about 3 seconds. So, all right, I think they're gone. All right, so we're gonna be talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. What I liked about the movie. Did I love it? Did I hate it? Do I think it was the best Spider-Man movie? Well, you're right to the right place. Honestly, this movie was, this is no doubt, I'm going to say this. This was Tom Holland's best Spider-Man movie I had ever watched. Like, I don't care, you can debate me. This was probably his best, no, let me take that back. This was his best Spider-Man, oh, we got punks. Hope I can fight when I'm talking. But anyway, this was the best Spider-Man movie I've ever watched. The acting was phenomenal. I love the fight scenes were pretty cool. Everything about this movie was really good, excellent. So, in case you guys don't know, over the last year there were spoilers leaked about a lot of surprises that were supposed to happen in this movie. So, in case you guys don't know, in this universe, Tom Holland plays as MCU Spider-Man, which stands for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was established by Iron Man. And of course, this movie takes place, well, Homecoming takes place before and it takes place after Civil War. So Tom Holland in this universe was mostly the Spider-Man. Sony and Disney came with a deal to bring in Spider-Man because Sony owns the rights to film Spider-Man, live action Spider-Man. Disney owns the rights to the animated, to make cartoon animated stuff for Spider-Man, for Disney XD and all that. So, Tom Holland was introduced as Spider-Man for Civil War, and his movie was, I thought he was pretty good in the movie. Honestly, his whole cameo was less than 20 minutes, around that size. I thought it was pretty good. Then we had Homecoming, which the movie came out in 2017, and I was not a fan of Homecoming. I'm just gonna say I wasn't really a fan because this Spider-Man was relying too much on the technology because they were trying to make him more like Iron Man. Like I'm okay with him and Iron Man having a friendship, but what I didn't like was when they try making him more like instead of him being his own hero, he's trying to be like the next Iron Man. I just didn't like that because Spider-Man is his own hero, and again, he doesn't rely too much on the technology. Like, yes, he does have gadgets and all that, but he doesn't rely, like this Spider-Man, he relies on the tech and say, look, I can't beat this guy without my suit and all that, which is not true. Because the suit does not make Spider-Man. The man makes Spider-Man. Or, I already messed the quote up. But, yeah, so we did see No Way Home. We saw Homecoming. I thought the movie was, it was alright. Michael Keaton did a very good job as the Vulture. He was my favorite, he's my second favorite Batman, but he did really good as the Vulture. I didn't like about with the Liz Allen of Liz being his daughter. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then the way they have Flash Thompson as like a goofball, because Flash is like the dumb idiot guy, the jock guy who plays football and supposed to be like the jockey guy. In this universe, they make him more like a nerd guy, and I didn't like that. I don't really like the actor who plays him. Nothing against the actor, it's just I'm just not really a fan of how they made Tom. And again, I'm just gonna web swing. I'll probably do some punks, whatever. But I just want to web swing and talk. So yeah. So then we did talk about Flash Thompson, and really didn't like him how he was in this universe. Mary Jane, I was not a big fan of because Mary Jane is supposed to be the sweet model, like the beautiful model chick girl. In this universe, they made her more like a jock. Like, she's mostly like a jock mixed character, where she doesn't really, like, she only cares about, like, you know, like how girls who try to act cool and stuff, like more like a jockish. And was not really a big fan of that. Ned was Peter's friend. Ed, I think his name's Ed or Ned. I forgot the guy's name, but he's more like a Miles Morales type character. Because you read the comics, Miles has a guy named no, it's Genki. My bad, Genki. That's his name. Miles has a friend named Genki. In this universe, they try to make Peter have a best friend named Ned. So they become best friends. So then, yeah. So Homecoming, you know, he's trying to move on. Like, he finds out that his girlfriend, the girl that he likes, her dad is an evil supervillain, and you know, he takes down the Vulture and all that. And it was a decent movie. Then we move on to Far From Home, which takes place after the events of Endgame. How far Endgame, I don't know, but it takes place after Endgame. Probably like I'll probably say like a month or two. I'm gonna switch costumes here because this is the costume that he wears for No Way. This is the costume that he wears for freaking I think it was Homecoming. Was it? Did he wear this suit in Homecoming? No, this is No Way Home. He wears. This is his. I have the costume right here. This is his. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. This is the Iron Spider suit that he had in Homecoming. Well, it was gifted to him at end of Civil War. Tony gave it to him. This is Iron Spider-Man suit, which is alright. This suit's alright. It's probably my least favorites. I always like the original Spider-Man suit because that's the red and blue because that's my favorite. So yeah. So now we move on to Far From Home. Far From Home, he's trying to have a normal life, and you know, he has a like. It's kind of odd because in Homecoming they didn't really tease nothing between him and Michelle. But, well, her name's Michelle. They don't call her Mary Jane, it's Michelle. But in this universe, they're trying, in this movie, you can tell he's trying to hit on Michelle, which was kind of odd because they didn't really establish, like, it just came out of randomly where he hits, like, he really has a crush on Michelle. So in this movie, in Homecoming, he's trying to live a normal life because he's going on a field trip with his classmates, and he feels like, you know, I want to take a break from being Spider-Man. I don't want to be Spider-Man. Of course, Mysterio is the main bad guy. Mysterio, of course, want to act like he's a good guy. And Tony, Peter's an idiot because honestly, Peter's an idiot because Tony gives Peter the tech of the best tech in his company, and Spider-Man's like, well, I don't want to take this tech because yeah, even though Tony gave it to me, I don't want to be like Tony. I want to be my own hero. And I want to do things differently than what he did. So I don't want to be Spider-Man. I just want to live a normal life because I just want to live a normal life. That was Peter was doing in Homecoming. No, Homecoming, Far From Home. He was whining because he was complaining, saying, well, I don't want to be Spider-Man. I just want to have a normal life. Well, sorry, Peter, to tell you, you cannot have a normal life. That spider, you have a great thing. With great power comes great responsibility, which they do not mention this in the whole movie, in both of his films. They don't mention this. And again, I was mostly frustrated because honestly, I'm like, okay, this might be the least favorite Spider-Man. I don't really like Tom. Like after this movie, I was kind of done, and I was like, man, I really don't even want to see the third one because I'm pretty sure this is going to be god awful. But then reports were coming in that he's going to do his own movie, so he fights Sylph. Go back to Far From Home. I keep getting, they're so confusing. You got Homecoming, Far From Home, and then it ends with Home. You get confused. So, Far From Home, he's in London and he fights Mysterio. He fights Mysterio. Mysterio has Stark's tech. You know, Peter outsmarts him and uses his spider sense to beat him, to avoid all the danger, because you never know hallucinations can be real, just like the comics. In the animated series, he relies on his spider sense, like, okay, which one is the real the real Mysterio? So they fight, Spider-Man beats him, and Mysterio dies because his own machines kills him, and Mysterio dies. So, again, not a fan of Mysterio in this universe. He was kind of the lamest villain. Honestly, I just wasn't. Mysterio was not always my favorite villains in Spider-Man's verse, so I just was not a fan. So The movie, we get the cars, we get the kiss where Michelle and Peter kiss, and then Peter, they go back to New York. Peter's web swinging in the black costume. So let's go back to the black costume, the original costume. I'll just wear the original costume. Screw it. So Peter's web swinging, and they're web swinging like there's like an ending. You had to watch the ending credit, because if you miss the ending credit, you don't get to watch the movie. You will miss the big plot. So at the end, before Mysterio dies, Mysterio records a message saying that Spider-Man was evil and trying to kill him. So Mysterio reveals Spider-Man's identity, and Peter's like, oh my, his eyes go wide, like, oh my god, my identity got revealed. So let's stand of Far From Home. Again, Far From Home was not a good movie. I didn't like it. I'll probably go with I'll probably go with I'm gonna get to, now we get to No Way Home. Let's talk about No Way Home. This big movie. So No Way Home picks up right after the events of Far From Home, when Spider-Man's identity is leaked. He's freaking out. He's like, oh my god, my identity got leaked. And now because everybody wants to kill him now, because you're gonna be scared, because this Peter's like a freaking, he's like 16, 17 in this universe, and your identity got leaked, man. So of course you're gonna be a target now. It's different than Iron Man, because Iron Man, he's rich, he could take care of himself. He has the technology, and he's rich to take care of himself and have like a big mansion. Spider-Man doesn't have that. So Spider-Man, of course, his identity being leaked, it's a big problem. So Spider-Man takes MJ, he takes MJ home, and he goes to his house, and he's freaking out, and Aunt May and Happy, apparently they really didn't even show them dating. They just flirted, and then he's like, well, we broke up. It's like, what? Like, when did you guys start dating? Like, yeah, they were teasing flirts, but they never actually, like, dated, you know. So Peter's freaking out, saying, oh my god, my identity got leaked, and and then the police come by to arrest him for killing Mysterio. And then we get to a big part where he's in prison, and everyone's saying, MJ's saying, look, do not talk. Just say, look, I need a lawyer, so that his friends and them all get arrested. So Peter goes, and I'm going to read the chat later because I don't want to be interrupted, because I'm just going over what I remember. I don't have my notes in front of me. I just saw the film yesterday, and I feel like, you know, I'm going to talk about it because it's been a while. I said I was going to talk about it, and I haven't talked about it in a while, so let's talk about it. So anyways, I'll read the comment sections below. So, Peter goes, and he does his random thing. So Peter goes to jail for then he being leaked, and then they show a next scene where he's he's at his house, and we meet a special guest, which is Charlie Cox, Daredevil from the Marvel thing, which I predicted. If you haven't go back, I posted a video saying our predictions. It was me and my friends. We went to go to the movie theater, and I posted our predictions for the film. And I was like, oh, I'm super excited. Like, I'm super excited to talk about, like, and it's a spoiler, so again, if you haven't watched the movie, go back and watch it. But we did the predictions, and I predicted that Charlie Cox was going to be in the movie. I said 90% chance, and I said the other two characters would be, the other two actors would be in it 99.90%. And the funny part is, nobody in the theater gave no reaction to Charlie Cox. It was only me and my friends. We were like screaming like, oh yes! Because honestly, Charlie Cox made me a Daredevil fan. Like, I go back and watch his show, in which, if you guys didn't know, his show is leaving Netflix on the 1st of March. So if you have not seen, you might want to go back and watch all of Daredevil, because I think it's going to be all the Marvel shows are going to be put on the Disney Plus app. So go, if you have Netflix, now's your chance to go and catch up and finish watching Daredevil, because it's gonna leave, and it sucks that it's leaving Netflix. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, so Daredevil comes, said, look, Peter, you're good, your charges all been dropped, but Happy's gonna have to go to court because he's gonna have to get another lawyer for his trial, blah blah blah. He's having a trial, blah 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 blah. He's not really in the movie. Like, all his cameos are like less than 6 minutes, 6, 7, 8 minutes, 10-minute scenes. Yeah. So of course, Peter's struggling. He's like, oh great, now everyone knows my identity, and he's like complaining, which just sucks now because his friends, MJ and Ed, they're trying to go to college together, and they get declined because, you know, Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and they're afraid that if Peter comes to their school, he's going to bring violence, and his friends can't go because he's associated with them. So now he feels sad that his friends couldn't go to the school they wanted to go, and they all were like, okay, how about this? Why don't we just do they applied to other different colleges, and again, same thing. They didn't get accepted. And Peter blames himself. He's like, man, I feel really bad because my identity got leaked, and people, my friend and my girlfriend can't go to college because they're related to me. Like me being Spider-Man is going to like affect him from not getting to college. So what he does is he's like, you know what? I got a great idea. Let's go talk to Doctor Strange. Maybe he can erase everyone's memories. So he goes to Doctor Strange. It was actually pretty funny because he calls him, and Doctor Strange says, please don't call me that. And he was like, okay, Steven. And he was like, I'm still not used to this. That part was pretty funny. He's like, I'm not used to it. He's like, yeah, it's going to take me a while to get used to that. So that was pretty funny. So Peter says, hey, look, Doctor Strange, I really need your help. Can you do a spell where you can erase everyone's memories so no one doesn't know I'm Spider-Man? And Doctor Strange's like, okay, I'll help you, kid, whatever. So they go downstairs in his basement, or the area place. And he's doing a spell. He's like, okay, I do this spell, blah, 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 that no one knows Peter Parker's identity. And Peter's like, wait, so everybody's not going to know my identity? He's like, yes, once I do this spell, everybody won't know that you're Spider-Man. And he's like, well, what about my Aunt May? And he was like, oh, okay, I just spelled blah, 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 as Aunt May. And he said, what about my girlfriend, MJ, and Ned, and all that? And Dr. Strange's like, please, shut up. You're going to mess up the spell. And you know what? The spell gets ruined because Peter Parker's a freaking idiot. He's like, dude, you could leave, because he's saying, well, if I don't, my Aunt May, if I tell her again, it took her a while to, like, she got crazy when she found out I was Spider-Man. And so he's going crazy. He's like, come on. Like, he's like telling him he's freaking out, and the spell works. The spell does not go through, but they mess up opening a multiverse where everybody knows that Peter Parker's identity. So again, Doctor Strange said, look what you did, da 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 da. And yeah, so everyone got, guys, like all the villains have now appeared in Tom Holland's universe. Guys from Doc Ock. So Peter goes to the, Peter tells his friends that, look, I did a spell trying to erase everyone's identities because doing a spell to erase my identity so no my identity can get leaked so we can all go to college, blah, blah, blah. That's why he did that, which was pretty dumb. It's like, dude, you could have still done a spell and tell your friends again, like, hey, I'm Spider-Man again. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't, like, I'm pretty sure that was simple, but again, don't do the writing, so the writing here, pretty stupid. But other than that, yeah. So Spider-Man goes and he goes they go to the little thing. He's trying to convince the college people to reconsider bringing them back, consider him and his friends to be a part of the Spider-Man, be part of the college he wants to go to. And the doctor goes and he goes there, and then we go to the bridge and we see a character from the second movie from the second movie of Spider-Man. Dun dun dun! Doc Ock. Doc Ock comes with the Iron Spider suit. He comes by. He looks freaking cool, and he says, "Hello, Peter." And Peter's like, "Huh?" Well, of course he doesn't know who this guy is, but this guy knows who he is, or the other version. So they fight. The fight scene was pretty cool, and Tom Holland gets his butt kicked. Like, honestly, like Tom Holland struggles against Tobey Maguire's Doc Ock, and I was actually pretty shocked. I was like, holy god, this guy has all this technology and he's getting his butt kicked. So what happened was Doc Ock takes control of his technology of the Stark tech with his arms, and he nearly loses until Spider-Man is able to control. Since Doc Ock controls his tech, Spider-Man can access his tech to control Doc Ock's arm. So he takes control of Doc Ock's arm. He beats Doc Ock barely, and then the Green Goblin appears. Tom, what's his name? Tobey Maguire's the Green Goblin appears, and Doctor Strange saves Peter, and they locked up Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus is locked up, and then he's like, "Do you know this guy is Peter Parker?" And he was like, "You're not my." He's like, "You're not my Peter," or he said, "Who?" He's like, "You're not my Peter," or something like that. And yeah, so they find out that look, when Doctor Strange said, look, when you did the spell, you mess up the spell, because now everybody knows that Peter Parker, now all the villains who knew Peter Parker Spider-Man is all coming after you to kill you, basically. So we gotta find all these people and send them back to their world and whatever. And Spider-Man's like, okay, I can do that, blah, blah, blah. So they go, and they find out, Spider-Man goes to find out, he finds out, he goes to like a little area and he finds Sandman, and he finds Electro, and Technology Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man again, nearly gets his butt kicked by Electro, because Electro doesn't go easy on him. And there was not really much shock, because we already knew Electro, and then we're in the movie. They've already showed them in the movies. So again, everybody was not shocked. Like, wow, Electro. Wow, that's pretty cool. Electro's in this. Electro beats the crap out of Spider-Man until Sandman comes and saves him. And he said, look, I'm not your Spider-Man, but whatever. And then Spider-Man's like, what? And Sandman's like, what are you talking about? And Spider-Man sends, Tom Holland, Spider-Man sends all of them to a lockup. And of course, we find out that there was a deleted scene of the lizard and in the sewers. That scene got deleted, so they had Doctor Strange capture the lizard. Well, I was like, oh, that would have been an awesome fight to see that. But of course, a lot of scenes got cut, and because there was one scene where Charlie Cox is picking up Peter from the jail, saying, look, let me get my client out of jail. But of course, that doesn't work. So, yeah, Tom Holland gets his butt kicked. You know, let's do some action, because y'all want to see some action. Y'all tired of me seeing me web swing, so let's do some action. So they locked up all the villains up, and they realize, oh crap, because now all the villains are freaking out saying, wait a minute, didn't you die? Like, I heard that Norman Osborn died, because Norman Osborn, oh, I missed the scene. So they were looking for the Goblin guy, and they found out that Norman Osborn, because Norman Osborn has two separate personalities. The Goblin, which William Dafoe kills it as Green Goblin. He freaking nailed it. And if you didn't know this, all of his stunt scenes were all him. He said in the interview that if they didn't allow him to do all his stunt scenes, then he wasn't going to come back. So that was pretty cool. Where's the thing at? Let's have some action. Y'all want to see action. Y'all don't want to see me just web swing and talk about this movie, because I thought this movie was really good. And I haven't played this game in a while, so try to bear with me. Time for Spider Arm. Booyah! Booyah! Man, this game is so fun. I love playing this game. It's the best Spider-Man game ever. One of the best. But really good, and I can't wait for Marvel Spider-Man 2. Anyways, getting back to the movie. So, they capture all the villains, and they're like, oh crap. So Dr. Strange said, look, we gotta send these guys back to the Earth, and whatever. And they realize, oh my god, if we send them back to the Earth, they will die. So what if we just change their stuff so they don't die? And everyone's like, oh, Dr. Strange, look, Peter, I appreciate you're gonna save these villains' lives, but at the same time, these are bad guys, and they're not from our world, so what happens to them is not our problem. And Peter's like, look, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna save them. So then he steals the box, and they have a big fight, and Spider-Man actually he beats Doctor Strange, but I thought it was pretty cool. So they fight, he beats him up, and he's like, you know what, you're not even worth it, so I'm just gonna beat you. So he uses webs, nice trick, and he traps Doctor Strange in another dimensional world, whatever. So they come back, and Spider-Man tells his friend, look, we're gonna save these villains, we're gonna change their fate so they don't die. So let's get rid of their powers, make them human, so they don't end up, because if they go back to their world, they're gonna die, or most of them. I think the only person that doesn't die is the Lizard and Sandman. I think, yeah, Doc Ock dies. Green Goblin dies. And Electro dies. So, yeah, except for people who wouldn't die would be Sandman and the Lizard, because they didn't die. They got Sandman left at the end of Spider-Man 3. And, what's her name died, and the Lizard is locked up. So, yeah. So they take him to Happy's hotel, and Peter and Aunt May, which again, let me say this about Aunt May. I was not really a fan of this Aunt May's. Honestly, I think my favorite one is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Tobey's Aunt May. They're both my favorites, so I think those two are probably my favorite Aunt May, because they do a phenomenal job. This Aunt May was kind of annoying and more like a young. I just didn't like her. I'm like, oh god, I didn't like how they made Aunt May so weird. And the actor who plays Aunt May, I forgot her name, but she said that originally she wanted Aunt May to have a girlfriend because she and Happy didn't work out. And part of me was like, oh god. Thank God they didn't do that. So I'm pretty glad they didn't do that. So anyways, so they go to the tower. And Peter's trying to cure them. When he does, he cures Doc Ock, brings back the good Doc Ock, the good version, not the bad version. So they bring in the good version of Doc Ock, da 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 da. So Doc Ock is the good guy, blah 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 blah. And they go back, they try to cure Green Goblin, which the bad Goblin, Norman Osborn's bad half, comes by and takes control of good Osborn. So good Norman is gone, and they bring back bad Goblin. And he's persuading them, look, all you want to, like, he's persuading them, saying, look, why be human when we can just take over this planet, blah blah blah. So they fight. Peter says, run at me. Aunt May runs. They have the fight, and Tom Holland's Peter Parker got his butt kicked by William Dafoe, Tobey Maguire's Goblin, because this Spider-Man again is not really good when it comes to combat, and you could tell he was actually terrified because he was afraid that he was gonna die, and the stunt scenes were phenomenal. Like, the fight was pretty cool. So they fight, this big fight happens, and all the other villains, they run away, they escape, they say, you know what, screw this, we'll just take over this planet, blah blah blah, because I'd rather keep my powers, and da 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 da. So they keep their powers. Tom Holland getting his butt kicked by Green Goblin, Aunt May runs, and the glider, they fall downstairs, and Tom Holland, Spider-Man, literally gets his butt kicked by falling down. He falls and he dies. He gets his butt kicked. Green Goblin said, we'll meet again, Spider-Man, and he runs, and the glider hits Aunt May, and I'm like, oh, she's dead. Like, she's not, there's no way she could survive that. So she stands up saying, Peter, are you okay? And I'm like, what the frick? How the frick is she stand? She literally got hit by a glider. Peter's telling her, hey, are you okay? Da da da. And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm alright. And they're talking, and she said, look, you did the right thing saving these heroes. You'll save them. I'm proud of you. Blah blah blah. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Da 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 da. So he gets these. Aunt May says the line, and I'm like, really? Because in this universe, I don't think Uncle Ben exists, and apparently he does exist in this universe. It's just this Spider-Man. It wasn't his fault that, like all the other Spider-Man, it's their fault that Uncle Ben died. In this universe, they were just a mugger broke into their house and shot his uncle, which again I'm just not really a fan of. I'm like, look, Spider-Man should always be like his action for not stopping the crook who killed his uncle should always remain the same, no matter what. But in this universe, they have where just a mugger broke in and just killed. So it wasn't this Spider-Man's fault. It was a regular mugger broke in and shot Uncle Ben. So the glider hits, Aunt May falls, and she dies, saying, and like death scene was actually pretty emotional. I honestly felt bad for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So of course you had J.K. Simmons, which I forgot to mention, J. Jonah Jameson is back. J.K. Simmons is the man. He kills it as J.K. as Joe Jonah Jameson. I'm glad they brought him back because he freaking killed it. He actually did an interview saying that he wasn't done. So anyways, Joe Jonah Jameson talking about the rampage of Spider-Man, saying that's what Spider-Man he does more harm than good. Blah 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 blah. And the friends, MJ and Ned feel bad. They heard the news about Aunt May dying. And I thought Happy was gonna die. I actually thought he was gonna die, but apparently he didn't die. He survived. I was shocked. But anyways, Aunt May died. Her death scene was way too long, and it was too long. I'm just gonna say that she died. Like, she literally got up standing after being stabbed. Like, literally getting stabbed by the glider, and she takes too long to die. Like, I was like, I was on the thing talking to my friends, I'm like, there's no way she can survive that. Like, the glider hit her back, and the glider has pointy thing. That's how Goblin died in Spider-Man's first movie. So again, Spider-Man's crying in the rain. They show him in the rain. He's looking over the newspaper. He's crying. He's like, Aunt May, like, my Aunt May's dead, and I'm sad, and da 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 da. So Aunt May dies, and Peter and Ned. I mean, why keep calling Peter? MJ and Ned find out that Aunt May died, and they feel really sad. And they're trying to locate Peter. Okay, we need to find him. And using... Oh, yeah, and also Ned has Doctor Strange's ring thing, the magic ring thing. So he's like, okay, we're going to find Peter. What if I use the magic to find Ned? And he goes, and she goes, Imra's like, you can do that? He's like, yeah, I could probably do it. And she's like, okay, do it, because we need to find Peter. So they do it. So he's like, bring me Peter Parker. And who comes out? Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And the crowd in my movie, they were like, you can hear a little cheers, but not much. I was cheering. I said, yeah! Like, my friends were like, I was like, Andrew, because Andrew Garfield, you guys don't know, he's my favorite Spider-Man. He's my favorite. I love his Spider-Man. He's my favorite. The probably thing I didn't like about his Spider-Man was they made him more like a jock as Peter Parker, smart kid. Like, he's smart, but he's a mixture of a jock. Like how they made MJ, that's how they made Peter in that universe. But I love Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. He's my favorite Spider-Man of all time. I was very sad when we found out that they weren't going to make Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 3. So Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield appeared. He said, look, my name is Peter Parker from another universe. And everybody's like, well, prove it. Like, show me what you got. Like, do your tingle thing. So he throws bread at him. And he was like, well, the tingle thing, my spider sense does work, but it only comes on when I'm, like, in danger. And he's like, I don't have, the bread's not a danger to me. So he's, like, walking around all weird and stuff. So then Ned's like, okay, let me try it again. 1, 2, 3, Peter Parker. And then they showed, he's like, bring me Peter Parker. And they show Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And the theater went crazy when they brought in Tobey. I'm like, wow, like, they didn't do that to Andrew or Charlie. Like, when it was Charlie Cox, there was no reaction besides me and my friends. When they showed Andrew, there was a little bit of reaction. And when they showed Tobey, everybody in my theater went crazy. Like, woohoo! I went crazy too. I'm like, Tobey! So Tobey comes in, both Tobey and Andrew meet each other, and he's like, look, we gotta find, we're looking for our friend Peter Parker. And he's like, yeah, we heard what happened to his Aunt May, blah, blah, blah. Like, where would he go if this Spider-Man was sad? And they talk about where, like, Tobey's Peter said, well, this is where I would go. I'll go to that place where I'm very sad. And they go, do you know where Peter would go if he feels abandoned? And they're like, yeah, we know where he would go. He would go to this building. So they locate Peter. Peter's on the roof crying because his Aunt May died. And MJ and Ned come to comfort him, saying, I'm sorry for what happened, but we got to get these villains back. And he's like, screw it, I want to kill them, blah, blah, blah. And Tobey talks about, how, what's her name? Talks about how, I can't even talk right. He talks about how his Uncle Ben died, because you watch it, I mean, he kind of killed the killer, but not really. Talked about, hey, look, when I killed Uncle Ben's killer, yeah, I killed him, but the grief still never went away because he didn't face justice. His life got taken away. He was still filled with sadness. And then Andrew Garfield talked about Gwen, which that was pretty cool. They talked about Gwen. And he told you, look, I barely have time because his MJ was Gwen. And they talked about how Gwen died in his arms. You say the only reason why he came back to become Spider-Man was because he did it for her. But he didn't pull his punches, meaning that he didn't hold back. Like, he was, I don't think he killed anyone, but he was more, like, brutal. Like, he wasn't holding back. He wasn't holding back. So they try to comfort Peter. So, look, let's go to the Alfred Tire and meet and try to help the other heroes. We gotta find a cure to cure them. So they go to a laboratory, they work together, they find a cure, and Ned talks to Tobey and says, hey, look, do you ever had a best friend? And he was like, yeah, I did. And Ned's like, what happened? He was like, he died. And Ned's face is like, huh? Like, what? And he's like, yeah. And Tobey says, yeah, he tried to You tried to kill me once. And Ned's face expression was hilarious. I freaking died. Like, the actor killed it. His face expression was hilarious. And he's like, oh, because if you watch Spider-Man 3, Harry Osborn died. Saving Peter's life. So, Peter goes, so Ned goes, oh, I feel really sad. So he goes over to Peter, and he's very terrified. He's afraid that he's going to be a bad guy. That Spider-Man would take him down. So it's pretty funny. So they did, you know, the little pointy thing where the Spider-Man do like the pointy thing. So they pointed at each other, like Ned's like Peter, and he was like who, like Peter who, da 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 da. So that part was funny, and then they talked about the organic. So Tobey Maguire says, "What's with the webs? Like, what's that for?" He's like, "Oh, it's for my web cartridges. It's for my web shooters." And then Toby shoots his web, and it was like, "Oh my god!" Like, and Ned's like, "That came out of you," and he was like, "You don't get." And Toby's like, "You can't do that, huh?" He's like, no, and he's like, ew, that's disgusting. And Andrew Garfield goes, you got webs in your body. I freaking died. Like, that was pretty the best. Because if you know, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man has organic webs, and Tom and Andrew make their webs. So they made the cure for all their villains, and Spider-Man goes, okay, look, we need to drag all the heroes here. So let's do, I'm gonna call them out. He calls J. Jonah Jameson and say, look, I want the villains to meet me at this, at the tower so we can fight, and yeah. And my favorite scene, like, honestly, my favorite scene of the movie is when Toby, Andrew, and Tom were talking. They're talking, and they talk about, Tobey Maguire's web shooters, about his organic webs. And they talk about, Tom goes, what's one of the craziest villains he ever fought? And he's like, well, and Andrew's like, I think, Toby goes, I'm pretty sure you've met some of them already. And Andrew's like, that's a good question. And Toby's like, well, I fought an alien made out of black goo once. And Garfield's like, I want to fight an alien. And then Tom goes, I fought an alien too. He was made out of purple. And he's talking about Thanos. And he's like, oh wow, I'm weird you fought an alien. So, yeah. So they talk, and then, because Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man feels left out because he didn't find no alien. Which supposedly they're going to make a film where he's going to play, where supposedly he's going to be Venom. He's going to fight Venom, which that's really interesting, if that's true or not. So, Andrew Garfield says, look, yeah, I had a villain once, and, I only fought Rhino, and yeah, he feels left out. He's like, I didn't fight an alien, and Toby's like, look, you are like, stop doubting yourself. Like, you are the amazing Spider-Man. And I'm like, oh, I knew what they were gonna do, and which I'm actually like, I actually like the chemistry fits so well together. And of course, Toby and Andrew are talking, and Toby talks about MJ. He said, look, it was kind of hard for us, but we actually we got something figured out together, and we decided to become a great couple. So supposedly, when Tobey Maguire agreed to come on for Spider-Man No Way Home, he said, look, the deal was that he wasn't going to, he said that he did not want to talk more, he didn't want to get into more about his Spider-Man, because he feels like it's best to not share so much information about his Spider-Man. So he didn't want to mention about what happened at the time. All we know is that after the events of Spider-Man 3, him and MJ are together. They got back together. And Kristen Dunst did an interview. She did an interview saying that she would love to come back to play Peter Parker. She did an interview, well, not Peter Parker, MJ. He said, yeah, I definitely would love to come back. Because a lot of rumors were saying that she and Emma Stone, I knew they both weren't going to be in it. And I said, no, we'll probably get like a little reference. But I didn't think they both would be in the movie. They probably would in the next Spider-Verse, because I'm pretty sure we have not seen the last of both these two characters. So the fight comes, all the villains come, the Vulture, not the Vulture, Vulture. And supposedly Mysterio was supposed to be in this film. That was the rumor, supposedly. But I'm guessing he got cut out or whatever. So, guys like, Doc Ock, hold on. Oh, let's talk about this movie. So Doc Ock, not Doc Ock, so Sandman, Electro, yeah, Sandman, Electro, and Goblin all appear, and the Lizard all appear in the film, in the final fight, the big fight, and I thought the thing was really cool. The fight was pretty cool, and I'm glad they mentioned because they're getting their butts kicked. And Andrew Garfield says, "Look, we're not good at this." Like I think Tom Holland said, he's like, "We're not good at this." And Andrew's like, "Yeah, I know. I haven't been a team before. I work better alone." And Andrew Garfield, Toby's like, "So am I." And he's like, "Look, listen, I'm Peter 1, you're Peter 2, Peter 3. Let me just shut up." Well, no, Andrew was Peter 3 and Toby was Peter 2. He's like, "Look, just shut up, both of you." He's like, "I'm not here to brag, but I have something to say. I work with the Avengers." And Toby goes, "The Avengers? That's great. What is?" And no, he goes, "What? That's great." And Tom goes, "Thank you." And he's like, "What is that?" And the whole theater laughed. I freaking died. Because I'm guessing in his universe, the Avengers don't exist. So, excuse me. So everyone laughs, and Tom's like, "You don't have the Avengers?" And he's like, "No, not in my universe, I don't." And everyone's like, "Look, we just work together, and we gotta work together and take these villains down." So they fight, they work after the little talk, they work together, and they team up together. And Goblin comes, and Doctor Strange comes, and Doctor Strange says, "Look, all the multiverse, I can't close the portal because all the villains that know Spider-Man is coming." So if you zoomed in, they didn't show like the purple portal where you get to see Kraven the Hunter and the Rhino. So they fight. Doc Ock comes and gives the box to MJ. He gives the box to Peter, and Peter finds a way to release the box to cure everybody. And they fight Goblin. Goblin comes, and Tom Holland says, "Look, I'm going to kill you because this time you're gonna pay for killing my wife." So Tom Holland kicks Green Goblin's butt. He doesn't, because he's filled with rage. He nearly kills him until Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man comes and prevents him from killing him. And you know what happens? The Goblin stabs Tobey Maguire, and I was like, no! I was like, they better not kill off Tobey. And then Tom Holland cures Goblin. And he goes, "Look, we can cure you, blah blah blah, and we'll figure something out. Well, you know, whatever, we'll cure you, blah blah blah." And they cure him. He's back to good Norman Osborn. And they have a bad news that the portal is going to be leaked. And Doctor Strange says, "Look, I can't shut the portal." And Peter goes, "What if we use a spell where nobody will know who Peter Parker is?" And Peter's like, and Doctor Strange, "Look, that could work, but let me tell you, like, everybody from the MCU will not know who you are. Nobody, including your friends, your family, nobody will know who you are. So are you sure about this?" And Peter's like, "Yes, I'm positive I'm doing this." So he goes, he tells Toby and Andrew, he says, "Thank you guys so much," and he hugs them, and we got the whole epic hug scene, and then Peter's like, "You're in pain." Toby goes, "You're in pain, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, I am." So that was pretty funny. Peter goes to Michelle and Ned, says, "Look, the spell that I'm going to give you, it isn't going to work. Like, the spell, as soon as I give you the spell, you're not going to remember who I am." And he's like, "No," like, and Michelle's like, "No, I don't want to do that." Like, he's like, "Look, I have to, and I promise you, once I come back, I will come back for you guys' memories." Sorry for yawning, guys. I'm getting really sleepy, so I'm trying to get to the end. So Peter goes to Doctor Strange. He's like, "Look, Steven, thank you so much for everything." And he's like, "You are a hero. You know, I might not know who you are. You are a hero." And he does the spell where everybody in the universe doesn't know who Peter Parker is. So I'm guessing Peter Parker doesn't exist. Wait, they don't think this guy exists. Nobody knows who he is. So we get to the end where he makes a note. He's trying to tell, he's going to tell MJ that he knows her. And he doesn't do it because he's shocked. And supposedly, the guy in the coffee scene was supposed to be the 1960s live-action Spider-Man actor. That was the rumor. So they brought in everybody, blah, blah, blah. They brought in, so they go in there. Peter's trying to tell MJ who he is. And she's like, "Are you okay?" Like, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker." And he's like, and Michelle's like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you, Peter. How can I do for you at the donut shop?" And he's like, "I want a price of coffee." Like, he has this note. I'm like, "Are you gonna give it her? Are you gonna like give her this note, or you're not gonna give it to her?" And he gives her a coffee. He sees Ned, and they see Ned and Michelle talking. I'm going to assume that Ned and I keep yawning. We're going to assume that a lot of people thought they were dating. I'm not gonna assume. I think they're like best friends or so. So yeah. So in the movie, he moves. So yeah, no one knows who he is. In the movie, he gets his own apartment, just like in this game. He gets his own apartment, and we see him. He makes his own suit because he has no. All of his suit got destroyed. His suit got destroyed, and all he has is this suit. Yeah. So when the movie ends, he's web swinging in his original blue and God, I gotta fix my throat. My throat is killing me for all this talking. Yeah. So the movie ends. He's web swinging, and that's how the movie ends. Like blah blah. The movie ends, and yeah, and it was very sad because I honestly feel bad that no. He goes to well, I missed the scene. He goes to Aunt May's grave. Happy's there. Of course, Happy doesn't know who he is. And he's like, oh, you know this lady? He's like, yeah, I know her. And Happy's like, well, she was a great lady, blah, blah, blah. So he leaves, and then he leaves. So yeah, the movie ends. He gets his own apartment. And he swings out, web swinging. So, yeah. That's the end of the movie. So overall, this was the best. I gave this movie a 10 out of 10 because it was just phenomenal. I thought it was really good. Doc Ock was cool, Electro was cool, Vulture was cool, all the villains were cool. There was no doubt in my mind that this was probably Tom Holland's best. No, this is his best Spider-Man film. I'll probably go with No Way Home as number 1. Homecoming as number 2. And Far From Home is number 3, because honestly, I thought Far From Home was horrible. But again, yeah, this is my thoughts of Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie was really good. I think we're gonna see Tobey Maguire again. I think we have not seen the last of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Hopefully, they can end up where Tobey can finally get like a proper send off to his Spider-Man, and I want to see more of Andrew Garfield. Anyway, guys. Thank you guys for so much for watching my review. Again, this is just my thoughts and review. I'm losing my voice here, so I need to get going to sleep. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for support, and I'll see you on another. Arkham City will return tomorrow night, and Abby will be with me tomorrow. I don't want to have her part because she has not seen the movie, and I don't want to spoil it for her. Anyways, thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see you guys on another video from Hamilton 25. God bless. Happy gaming. See ya.